Hey people, it's Steel Gamer with the Outer Worlds game. As the title of this video says, I will be going into this completely blind, no idea what I'm doing, and as usual, if you're familiar with my channel, then you know exactly what I'm going to wind up doing with this game. The fact that Obsidian wrote it and everything else, I'm probably going to be getting a lot of hate for this video, but that doesn't change what I do, and, you know, it's kind of like, deal with it. Now, I want to be clear that Obsidian does write good things. I don't want to not give credit where it's necessary, but that doesn't exempt developers from not explaining how to actually do very specific game basics. So if they put one basic in the game, they're supposed to put another in and basically explain to the player how to play it so the player has a learning curve. Too often players and gamers in general turn games into schoolwork where they feel because YouTube has, you can look anything up, that it exempts the developer from getting out of having to, it exempts the developer from having to do their job. And people will argue with me, they don't have to explain that. And it's just a bunch of nonsense. So hopefully I don't find too many things wrong with this game, but that's what my channel does. So without further ado, let's start. I am playing this on the PC with a wireless Xbox One controller. So that's why you're seeing the B buttons and everything on the screen. The components for my computer are listed in the upper right corner of the screen here, and that's it. So let me go on hard mode here, I guess. Let's see here. What do we got? Story. Use this mode if you enjoy story mode more than combat. In story mode, enemies have less health and do less damage. Normal. This is the recommended mode for your first play session. In normal mode, enemies have a standard health and damage. Hard. This mode is for players who are looking for an extra challenge. In hard mode, enemies have more health and do more damage. Okay, but let's see what Supernova is. Supernova mode is the hardest difficulty, which, okay, it's kind of like, I'm assuming that's like nightmare mode, so. Alright, and can only be selected at the start of the game and is recommended for advanced players. Well, if you've never played this game, you cannot be an advanced player. I find that statement very silly. Alright, so Supernova mode adds additional challenges to the game, which is what you'd expect from Supernova mode if it's hard. Alright, if you reduce the difficulty below Supernova, you cannot re-enable it. Okay? Why would you start it there and then drop it down? Just don't start on that mode at all. Okay? Alright, enemies have more health and deal more damage, yep. You must eat, drink, and sleep to survive. What is this, Fallout 76? Alright, companions can die permanently. Okay, that's fair enough. I've always been in agreement with that. Crippled body and limb conditions can only be healed with bed rest, which means there's got to be some form of combat system in this that's not going to be explained, or in making it really difficult for a new player to get into this. Alright, you can fast travel to your ship. Oh, you can only fast travel to your ship. You can only sleep inside your ship. And so basically, if you get crippled, you have to go to your ship to do this. Alright, that makes sense. So you can only manually save when inside your ship, and autosaves are limited. So instead of writing all that, why don't they just say, you have to fast travel to your ship and save there, and while you're there, you can only manually save while you're inside. Clears it up. Alright, so let's finish here. So I'm going to put it on hard mode because I don't really know this game that well. And like I said, I find it interesting. It's like people are advanced players. If you haven't played the game, you can't be an advanced player. So why don't they just say this is for the, mode that's playthrough next. Alright, so let's see. Conversation subtitles. So this has got to be everything that talks in the game. Select your preferred format for conversation. On. Display conversation subtitles with NPC talk, when NPCs talk, so I'm assuming that means anywhere. Minimal, only display subtitles for the last line an NPC says when player options are shown. Off, don't show any conversations at all. Alright, so I just have them on. Show bark subtitles. Now they're getting into, what are they, dogs? Alright, so if disabled, let's find out what they're calling bark. And I just want to point something out here. People that argue with me about what a game or common sense can be. Unless a developer tells you otherwise, they can name, and I've said this in plenty of my videos, and here's a prime example of it. Unless a developer tells you what they're referring to a word to mean as, you can't use common sense to utilize what they're saying, because here the word bark. By definition, bark comes from an animal. So that's basically, if they didn't tell you what this was here, you'd have to assume it was from dogs. But what will happen is people will argue at this point with me and totally ignore the other point, because when it's not explained, they argue with me. When it is explained, they argue with me. So it's the retardedness level of people. So all right, so if disabled, subtitles. So apparently barking is another way of speaking. All right, I guess it would be the same thing as I saw on the movie Langoliers, where he's like, these people should be all these that dog won't bark, meaning nobody's talking on the speaker. So I mean, I can understand that, but the developer has to tell you this in order for you to know that. That's my point. So all right, anyway, if disabled, subtitles will not be shown for words spoken outside of conversations. Okay, that statement doesn't even make any sense, because if dialogues are only for conversations, then what are they referring to? Because that makes no sense. That statement literally just makes no sense. If disabled, subtitles will not be shown for words spoken outside of conversations. What? That makes no sense. Okay, that's just silly. All right, so let me continue here. All right, show cinematic subtitles. So that's a phrase that I'm assuming that when it's, I'm not even looking at the description right now. I'm just going by what's written here, because people are like, you don't use common sense, you don't read, and they argue with me about these stupid word manipulations. When if you read the damn thing, like I said, if you read what I just put here, that literally doesn't make any sense, because all conversations are dialogue. So that does not make any sense. So when you say show cinematic subtitles, that would mean, or assuming it would mean, that conversations that only happen during the cinema cut. So it'd be basically, it's subtitles. Turn the volume down on your TV and then put subtitles on or whatever. Okay. If disabled, subtitles will not appear shown in cutscenes or rendered movies. Okay, so I was right. All right, so let's leave that on. I really don't know what that means, but I'm going to leave it off. So, keeping in mind, I've shut off bark subtitles, which makes no sense, because these two are the same thing, because they haven't differentiated what the difference is. All right, so that's okay. So that's just bad. All right, isn't Halcyon from Borderlands? Here, you have a job. I'm telling you, Halcyon sounds so familiar, and I could be getting that wrong, but oh, that's good. I'm telling you, Halcyon has to be friggin' from Borderlands. Unless I'm getting that confused with something. I'm going to look that up right now. That sounds so familiar. Oh, it's Hyperion. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Hyperion. That's what I'm thinking of. All right. Never mind. Holy shit, that kind of looks like me. That looks like me. So is this my character, or what is this? Now, keeping in mind, I do know that this isn't first person. Jesus, that totally looks like me. That's totally bad. So anyway, oh, this literally looks like the character creation screen. It's got to be. They just showed a male and a female. That's got, yep. All right, so it's character customization. Now, I've always had a problem in character customization when it doesn't actually explain what the hell anything is and says, well, you can add this to this and this, and it's retarded. So let's see here. All right, give me a break here. You haven't seen me with a beard, dude. Go look at some of my other videos and you'll see. Anyway, all right, so let me see here. All right, strength effects. Melee weapons damage and everything. Because I just want to point something out for the viewers watching. For people who like to argue with my videos, again, I'm just going to keep reiterating this stuff as I go through. People can say, well, strength. I can say what strength does in RPGs. That does not mean they always do that, because the developer can actually change what they do. And unless the developer changes what they do, even trying to use common sense to say, well, it does melee and everything else, isn't going to matter. That's not a valid argument unless the developer actually goes over it. Yes, you can assume that and you have a right to that opinion, but that doesn't change that if a developer doesn't tell you certain things, they can make anything in a game be anything that they want. So trying to say common sense matters is irrelevant. It's not even a valid argument. Or I should say a valid counterpoint. So let me see here. Strength. Strength affects melee weapon damage and the amount you can carry. So that's a common thing because they told you this. If they didn't, you can assume that, but they never actually verified that. So you can say, well, it doesn't say it doesn't. But that doesn't mean it does. So that's one of the arguments people use. Well, it doesn't say it doesn't. Well, you can sit there and say I'm 100% wrong all you want. But here's the thing. Just to touch up on this. For the viewers watching, this is what I get into with some of my viewers. The difference between me and a viewer saying I'm wrong is all they have is their statement to say it's wrong. If I have a game open and I'm showing something's not printed and a viewer says you're wrong, that's just the viewer being a troll because I have an open argument saying it's not explained. Yeah, but okay, so again, for the viewers listening or the viewers watching the stream, I again don't mute anybody. He has a right to say anything he wants. I'm just going to make him look like an idiot. Because what they're talking about is their own opinion. Trying to use an opinion to dictate something's explained while I have the screen open with no explanation on it doesn't work. So trying to say I'm 100% wrong with your opinion doesn't apply. You have a right to say you think it's explained, but if I have the game open and say it's not explained, what are you going to do, argue with it? You can argue with it, but you'll be wrong. So the difference between me and my viewers and the people that say this stuff is all they have they say I'm wrong. And never provide any proof, never provide any substance to their argument. It's just, you're wrong. While I have the game open with a strong structure to my argument. I take the thing apart and I show what's wrong with it. And people are, you're wrong. Okay. So, the thing here is a simple concept. Just let you know. By the way, just to let you know, SWAG stands for Secretly We Are Gay. Just to make you aware of that. So your name, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it. Do whatever you want. But just be aware that if you're going to start trying to poke fun at me with this, I'm just going to start pulling anagrams out of my ass and showing you. And what are you going to do? Tell me I'm wrong on that too? If you look it up, that's what it means. So it's funny how advertisements and corporations try to turn it into it's something that means... it means cool, you're dressed good and everything. No, it means secretly we are gay, period. That's what the statement means. So, however you want to take that is up to you, but that's what it stands for. So anyway, back to what I was saying. All right. Let me see. Weapon attack speed. So this affected skills. At least this explains it, because I went over this with Divinity, where they had certain concepts written down and they didn't even explain what the hell any of the shit meant. So handguns, dodge, block, sneak, lockpick. Let's see, intelligence. Intelligence affects critical hit damage bonuses. Okay. Here's the thing. If you're going to... See, here's what I like about trolls. And then I'm not going to touch up on this afterwards. You're telling me that SWAG does not stand for Secretly We Are Gay. If you're going to tell me... What's funny here is they tell me I'm wrong, but I'm not the one that came up with the definition. The definition is written all over the place. You're not telling me I'm wrong. You're basically arguing with the rest of what everybody else says. All I'm doing is repeating it. So you're not really directing it at me. You're directing it at everybody else. So in reality, you're actually arguing with everybody else. I really couldn't care less what it stands for. It could stand for, Swedish wisdom, agriculture, gaming. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me what it stands for. But if you're going to tell me I'm wrong while you look up the definition and it shows the definition as Secretly We Are Gay, then what am I wrong on? It's not me. I don't care. So, okay, so at this point, this is when trolls just come in and start trying to drag away from the the viewpoint, the stream. All right, I don't know what sleep apnea has to do with anything. Anyway, okay, so let me get on to this here. Dexterity. All right. Dodge, block. All right, so okay, so first thing I want to point out here is that unless your attention, let me see if I can get the mouse on the screen. All right, so unless you are put here, if you're using a mouse and keyboard, this screen has no instructions about what the point to this is. Now, I want to point something else out, too, that I think it's funny when people argue with me about these screens. Okay. At the top, attributes is lit up. Skills, aptitude, appearance, name, and summary are grayed out. Anything grayed out in a game, if you're going to use the common sense principle, because this is why I find this amusing. Gamers will argue with me about common sense principle, but then they will only cherry pick where they want that concept to apply. The fact remains is the common sense principle of when something is grayed out on a screen means you cannot select it, activate it, touch it, or do anything with it. That is the common sense principle. So it's funny when gamers tell me to use common sense, and then when I apply it, they tell me, oh, no, it doesn't work that way. You're just stupid because you don't get certain concepts. It doesn't really make any sense. You don't have to stop. You can say anything you want. See, this is the thing with my stream. I'm not an arrogant prick. You have a right to disagree with me, post up opinions, say what you wish. I'm not gonna ban you from my stream because you're talking, but there's only 3 things that'll get you banned from my stream. Terrorist talk activity, real-life threats that can actually be done, and child rape. Period. That's it. I'm not going to ban you from the stream because you're going to tell me I'm wrong and I don't like it. To me, that's not a valid reason to shut somebody up. That's just retarded. I'm like that in all my streams. That's why I don't use bots or moderators. If you don't like what somebody says in a stream, you can ignore them. You have a right to that opinion. You have a right to say that. I'm not gonna bar you from that. So it's just funny when people start saying stuff because if you're gonna, I have no issues if you want to debate. I'll debate till I'm blue in the face. It doesn't matter. It's never going to change your opinion. But there's one thing that separates what I do from other people. If you're going to use the statement "I'm wrong" with no structure, it's just a statement. It has nothing to do with anything. But that's why I pointed out, swag stands for secretly we are gay. Now, you can say whatever it is that you want, what your name is, you made it up. But my point is if you're going to say stuff on my end, I can just say it right back. It's the same thing. But the thing here is, if it's wrong against your name and what you chose to do, that's one thing. But the terminology swag stands for exactly what I said it stands for. So you can't literally sit there and tell me I'm wrong without backing it up. Go look up the word. Or go look up the acronym. It's an acronym. It's not a word. Sorry. So anyway, let me continue here. So I just want to point out that when gamers use the common sense, use common sense or you can't grasp simple concepts, when I put it there, they don't like where I put it, so they say you're just still stupid. The common sense principle on simple concepts works like this on this screen. What is grayed out on a screen without an explanation on how to get it highlighted is disabled. That's how all games work if you're going to use the common sense principle. To say I don't grasp simple concepts because I didn't click something on the screen is an invalid argument to that specific point. I'm not saying don't click it or I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is the common sense principle is if it's grayed out, there's no valid reason for anybody to even attempt to get it highlighted without a piece of instruction. So this is the thing that gamers do. They never separate they cram everything in together into one aspect and try to put it all under one umbrella, and that's not how this works. To say, well, why didn't you click this, is a separate issue from the fact that it's grayed out. And what grayed out means on screens means you can't access it. That's the common sense principle. You know, for a bunch of people who can't stand me, why do you guys keep joining my streams? You know what I'm going to do. All right, so anyway, I want to point something else out, too. If you're using a controller on the PC, if you look at the very bottom here, it says change attribute value, and it has a picture of the directional pad with left and right buttons. The mouse does not have this. So this is interesting to watch this setup. No, actually, all right. So just to touch up on people. People always like to add in stuff, rip apart things that I say, and totally change the context, and then try to say something I never did. Case in point, what David W. was saying here. I keep on saying that nothing works. No, I never said that at all. That's not even close to what I said. What I said was, it doesn't have any instructions, so somebody new using it would never know enough to do that. That's not the same thing as saying it doesn't work. And on top of that, I've also clarified many times. Something broken does not mean it cannot be finished. It just means at that specific point, what is needed to complete it is broken. Broken means it's fractured and you can't connect part A to part B. That does not mean it cannot be finished. Gamers like to take broken and say it doesn't work at all, and that's what you're saying. It's not what I'm saying, because gamers just have this mentality of one narrow-minded aspect. No. Once again, what's funny about this is people who don't take the time to watch my videos, skim through them and everything else, miss very valid key points, and then try to argue about information they don't have. What I'm talking about, the channel that I do, okay, somehow people combine what I show into I can't play the game. Nowhere did I ever say that. That's the impression people want to use. I'm not going to change it. But if you're going to skip through my videos and not listen to key points and only pull out what you want, then you're never going to understand the concepts. But you can't argue with anything I'm talking about when you've skipped through the video and missed key points. So I've said this many times. Somebody who has never played a game is not going to be able to get through most of the tutorials or what people classify as tutorials in the game, because there is very specific pieces of instructions missing that allow them to take that information and then use it in the learning curve. If you miss connection, if you have points A, B, C, D, and E, and you only go through points A and B, set the person up to view as A and B is how the rest of it's going to go, and then miss C, D, and then go to E, and then try to say, well, the person should know enough to do. No, that's not how that works, because that's missing an instruction. That's turning a game into schoolwork. Now, clearly, if I'm gonna do something, I can click on skills or whatever. Okay, it's skills, aptitude, appearance, name, and summary are grayed out. Yeah, but that's irrelevant. See, that's another thing that I touch up on. You cannot use YouTube or other people explain it, or you can look it up, as an excuse for developers to not go through and teach people how to use their product. You just can't. Well, you can, but that's not how games are programmed. I'm not saying people don't want to do that. They can absolutely do that, but that's not the issue here. If you buy a product is supposed to be self-contained. Somehow, gamers, the way the industry is now, okay, this is like arguing, okay? This is like me arguing the point that if gamers are going to tell me on this end, then I'm just going to turn around and use the same argument on them with DLC. You can argue all you want that the DLC should have been in the main game. That doesn't matter. It's an irrelevant point. The developer can put in however that they want. But to argue that they should have done something and then not apply that to what I'm saying here makes you a hypocrite. That's the way it is, because you can't cherry pick where you're placing the argument and then try to change context to remove just because you've been pointed out, just because an angle's been pointed out. It doesn't work that way. Okay, now here, let me put something else out here. The problem with gamers is they don't know how to explain anything. I do. So I'm speaking from a point of view where I do it in my videos all the time. If you go back, case in point, to try to apply what I'm saying and then say what you said, that doesn't work, because that's not what I'm talking about. Because, again, people are take out of context what I'm talking about. If you go and watch my Mass Effect 2 video, I very explicitly explain how to solve certain things in that absolutely can be written, because I say in my videos all the time what gamers say cannot be done. I do it all the time. And so when I made my Mass Effect 3 video and my Mass Effect 2 video, I made the Mass Effect 3 video because somebody wanted to understand what I was talking about. All right, so anyway, as to hit on the points that David was saying, there's a difference between explaining every little thing, and that's not what I'm talking about. That's what people take and do my videos. That's not even what I'm talking about. Go watch my, okay, so again, go watch my Mass Effect 2 video. And then when you come across the puzzle points, or, I'm sorry, the hacking video, the hacking part in that video, it'll completely shut down the comment you just said. What you just said is shut down by what I said in my Mass Effect 2 video. To say how something should be explained, it's not true. Okay, so there are little things here and there, because when I specifically speak, I say gameplay basics. That's not the same thing as saying, how do you know how to breathe? How do you know how to cook? What the frick does that have to do with anything I'm even talking about? So it's just funny when gamers run out of shit to argue about, they start applying stuff that is completely obsolete to the issue. So, am I in agreement that developers are lazy? Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to be clear, as much as I harp on this, I want to point something out. I don't believe information should be plastered over the game where it disrupts people who don't want it. So, as bizarre as that sounds, this is the standpoint I do, because I'm not biased. I'm biased against not having instructions. But the terminologies for instructions, gamers have taken out of context and don't even know what it means anymore. Because when I actually have a video on my channel that explains point blank with dictionary definitions. When you say instructions or explained, I show you what you're actually saying. So what a gamer is trying to say is not what the gamer is actually saying. They're two different things, and that's the language barrier. So, again, case in point, when gamers try to argue with me about common sense things, they don't like to apply it where I'm applying it and then try to tell me I'm wrong. So when gamers tell me to use common sense and then I put it in the game with common sense, they say it's wrong. But when I don't apply common sense, they say use it because it's wrong. So you guys are going to argue no matter what it is you do. So case in point. Okay, anyway. What does that even mean? Okay. So, case in point for the viewers trying to understand what I'm talking about. Okay. Somebody in my chat says, you have sleep apnea. What the hell does that have to do with... Instead of saying it, structure out your argument. This is like when somebody says, I don't like the game. Why? Because the game sucks. Okay, why? Well, the combat system sucks. That's not a structure argument. That's not even an argument. That's just you being a troll. If you're going to have an argument, structure it out. What about it? Do you not like the way they hold the gun? Do you not like the way they shoot it or anything else? Saying a comment means nothing. It means nothing. You have no structure. Oh, you're wrong. Okay. So let me continue here on this. So let's go to strength. Strength as offer affects melee weapon damage and amount you can carry. Okay, blah, 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 blah. So... See, here's something else. Somebody who's never played a game is not going to know what to do on this screen. Do you know why? Because it doesn't tell you what to do on this screen. For those that want to argue about this, you can argue till you're blue in the face. You're trying to apply an opinion to an actual fact. Because you play games, you can't get it out of your head about, why didn't you just do this? Why didn't you just do that? The answer's simple. Why didn't they? Because the game didn't tell them to. To say, wow, you need the game to hold your hand on on a screen where you're being told to do, what you're expected to know? Absolutely, because it helps you understand the screen. So to argue this should not be explained is retarded. I'm just speaking from a point of view, if somebody has never picked up a game, they will never be able to get by these points because a developer assumes. People use I'm sorry, but you guys use the stupidest arguments and the stupidest viewpoints and opinions to try to structure yourself. It doesn't work. Case in point. Hey, get off of that. Sorry, my cat's crawled my couch. So, case in point. Ready for this? Adjust your point values, because right now it doesn't even have a number. It says it has words. Average is what the hell is average? It has nothing. You have nothing to gauge that against. So they didn't bother explaining what average is. You can sit and argue that point all you want, but that's not like saying average. So what am I supposed to be doing here? I know what to do here. You guys may know what to do here, but I'm not talking about that. I can sit and look at the bottom of the screen where it has, change attribute value. But that if that's literally almost blended in. You can almost not even see that. So if somebody's eyes are not drawn down there, they're up here focusing on this. They're not looking down at the screen. So coming from a point of view where I've actually missed things like that and I had to go back and look, you absolutely can miss this. So that's a bad place for this. They should literally have right at the top of the screen, press left or right, or whatever the keybinds are, to adjust the values. You have 6 points to use. So to argue that a developer should not even put that in there is moronic, because whether or not you need it and whether I need it doesn't matter. Somebody who's never played this game needs it. So, and this is just from a case in point, Obsidian makes really bad instructions in their games. They always have. They've never made really good instructions at all. I mean, hell, Fallout New Vegas, the first quest that they have there tells you to go to yourself. It's not even clearly explained on the map, because in order for you to do that, you first need the map explained. So, I mean, I could sit and go through everything else on, whatever else is here. So, the mistake people make with my videos is like, you don't get certain concepts. I never said I would. How do you go from me saying this is from a point of view from a person that doesn't understand how to do the game, and I'm showing what would actually happen in the screen should somebody pick one up, to, you don't know how to play good. How do you even connect the two of them? That doesn't make any sense. All right, so perception. I have no idea what any of this stuff does, but I'll figure it out. I'll find out in the game. So, charm, blah, 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 blah. What does this do? Oh, lie. Interesting. Charm effects, faction, reputation, and I don't give a shit about that. Temperament. Temperament improves your natural health regeneration. Since I have this on hard, I think that would be a good idea. See, here's a case in point where trying to use common sense to apply something to somebody who's never played a game doesn't work. I know, just from playing on games on hard mode, that health is an issue. That just comes with playing. I know that. So since I have this on hard mode and I see temperament, it adjusts the health regeneration rate. I'm just assuming I'm going to be taking a lot of damage. So I would rather have a high health regeneration. I'm not sure if that even applies here, but I'm using a common sense principle on this. So for those of you saying, well, you don't use common sense, how do you have trouble playing this? This is a case in point where you can't really apply this. So you can argue with me about all you want. You don't get certain concepts. I understand exactly how the games are put together. I'm just speaking from a point of view that somebody who's never picked up these games won't be able to play them. And to try to argue otherwise means you're a meat stick. So let's continue here. Strength. Since this is an RPG, or it's supposed to be an RPG, I usually do all RPGs whenever I start them out with melee. So I'm going to actually do melee here with this. So let's do next. Alright, so crit chance. Melee weapon skill. One-handed melee weapons. Critical chance. Oh, there's 2 points I have. Okay, so. Okay. Have fun. So, because of the way society's mentality is, what I'll just explain using society's mentality is, he just called every single person who's never picked up a game or has never read instructions on something as schizophrenic. That's what he just did. He just labeled every single person in existence. Whoever has to leave a game to look something up on YouTube on how to do something because they should have known, or had to look it up, by going to a forum and ask a question, are schizophrenic. That's literally what he just said. Because his whole comment is directed at what I'm talking about here. So we're going to apply what he said to everybody across the board, including people on this channel who say, look it up. You can go to YouTube. I guess apparently they're schizophrenic because they have to look something up. And I guess apparently that same comment can apply. Anybody who has to leave a game to look something up on YouTube because they don't know, you want your handheld for everything? God, learn how to play the game. Use common sense. It's funny to watch people use those comments to me, but when I say them back, oh no, you can't use it against me when I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm just applying it across the board. You're trying to cherry pick where it's applied. That's what's funny here. So I just think that's just amusing. All right, so let's see here. Unlock power and sweep attacks. All right, that sounds interesting. Unlock skills, novice. I guess, interesting. All right, ranged. I do want some ranged stuff. Ranged weapon skill. Handgun skill. Handgun skill decreases weapon sway. That doesn't make any sense. Why would a handgun skill decrease? It looks like the higher this goes up, it looks like the higher that this goes up, the more your handgun skill decreases. That doesn't make any sense. It says it right there. The handgun's skill decreases. That's bizarre. Why would you... Okay, whoever wrote this is I think they meant to say the lack of handgun skill decreases. That's what I think they should have put there, so that's a word that's missing. Yeah, there's no comma in between that to even denote it's even referring to weapon sway. It would appear that the way that's written is the handgun skill decreases, aka weapon sway, which it should be in parentheses, while firing one-handed at firearms. That doesn't make any sense. That's an incorrect statement. All right, it should say the handgun. Lack of skills with a handgun decreases, a.k.a. weapon sway while fight. That's written all half-assed. All right, so let me see. I can kind of make out what I guess it means, but it's not really written right. Persuade skill is usually, it's conversation shit. No, it's dialogue. Okay, see, this is just stealth. I don't want stealth. I'm going to go all out with this. Leadership, I don't give a fuck about that. All right, so let me do defenses here and some range. Let me see. Dodge. Traveled distance. The dodge skill increases. Yeah, they have these worded really screwed up. It should say the dodge skill increases the following, and then puts a semicolon there, and then puts whatever it is. All right, block. Can I? Huh. Oh, all right, I see how this works. I got to put a point there. Okay, I got it. Let me put a point there. Okay, I got it now. That's in melee. All right. All right, here's the thing. I'm toxic. Well, I appreciate what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is correct. Yeah, and like I said, it doesn't matter what... People can hate what I'm saying all they want. It's not going to change facts. They literally have no structure to their argument. And so, I mean... you're never going to be able to get them to understand this. I've said it in plenty of my videos. So, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate that's just the way it is. That's why I don't moderate my chats. People can have a right to say anything they want because it's interesting to listen to what people have to say. I never actually, unless, like, there's 3 things that'll get you banned from my channel. Or I should say banned from the channel, is kiddie porn, talk of excessive violence, and actual, like, harm, like rape, things like that, and terrorist activity. Those are the only 3 things I will actually ban somebody for. Other than that, I'm not going to sit and remove somebody because they say you're wrong or, I don't like what they're saying because they have a right. That's the whole point to having a discussion is to disagree. Other streamers would just immediately get rid of somebody like that or have their moderators put them in timeout. I don't have moderators because it's too subjective to abuse, and then I don't feel like really dealing with my moderators. So, no discernible aptitude. All right, so what are we doing here? Aptitude. What is aptitude anyway? These must just be status effects. That's what it appears to be, because drink effect duration would be classified as a status effect. They really should put on what aptitude actually does. It doesn't really clarify what it does. So that's a mistake that they needed to do. Rank 0. I don't want to say status effects. A status effect. I should say passive and status effects. That makes sense. All right. Passives and status effects. Shock damage, relieve. Yeah, that's a passive. Okay, so these must just be basic behind-the-scenes passives that activate at certain points, or some of them are just constantly active as a passive. All right. Farmer dirt. What is N-ray? Does it say up there? Alright, I guess apparently N-ray is something in the game. But this is the stuff I'm talking about. They should really clarify what the hell they're talking about on the screen. Well, actually, I went over that in my video. I made a 30-minute stream about World of Warcraft Classic isn't, and then 3 other, like some other news, and one of the news I touched up on was that main thing. And I went into like where a business's finances come from is basically where the company is based. Yes, it may be Blizzard may be inside the confine and border of the United States, but its funding is coming basically from China. Period. So therefore, under that context, under Business 101, Blizzard is a China-based company. And so when you're dealing with stuff like that, it's unfortunately that the media gets a hold of things that, twist things out of context and everybody only focuses on one thing. So, for example, if you take a look at the Fallout 76 video I made about the membership, I've touched up on something nobody looked at, and that's what I do on this channel. I look at things from an angle nobody else does. So while everybody's doing the normal, business end of things or talking about the normal things, I actually look at parts of that, but I do something different with it. So, like I said, if you take a look at the Fallout 76 video I did with the membership, it'll strike you as bizarre, like what's going on. And I've said it before, and I get a lot of hate for this, but here's the thing. People can argue with my points all they want, but the fact of the matter is, like this whole layoff with developers going into crunch time, I have laid out a question to people, and I says, yes, it sucks that the developers are doing that. But at the same exact time, you also have to put blame on the developers that are going into these companies, because it's impossible in the gaming development market nowadays to not know high-end developers that make these supposed AAA games, if you want to call them that, are taking a bunch of people in, and then once the project is done, getting rid of them. I'm sorry, you have to be an idiot to keep going to work for these people. Why would you go to work for somebody knowing that was going to happen? So you have to be an idiot. So everyone's like, oh, the developers, they're just as stupid. If the developers stop going to work for these companies in that regard, the companies will not be able to make the money. Therefore, they keep going to them, they're going to get what they deserve. It's like people buying Fallout 76 memberships. People are like, oh, you do it. When reality, if you take a look at that, the developers are doing the exact same thing when they go to work for these AAA companies and then get laid off. It's the same thing. And the people may not like that, but it's literally the exact same thing. You're punishing yourself by doing something stupid. Yeah, you want to be known, and yeah, you have your resume. But when you look at it, it's not worth it. It's just not. Let me see. Food additive tester. And that's why I also put a video up to Upper Echelon Gamers. I said upper Echelon Games, but I realized his name is Upper Echelon Gamers. And I don't always agree with what he says, but he lays it out on the line on how it is, and what he said is exactly correct. People can subscribe. I just narrowed it down in a simpler format, basically saying you can cancel your World of Warcraft subscription. Everybody in America could stop buying Blizzard games, and they would still make their money threefold because their major market money is coming from China. Simple. Because you have to, in order for you to disrupt a company's business, you have to disrupt their money flow, their cash flow, or whatever monetary system they're using. Everybody in America would not be able to stop doing that, still wouldn't touch it. It wouldn't do anything. So in reality, all you're doing is you're hurting yourself. And I always tell people, if you want to play a game, play it. You want to pay $100 for a membership, that's on you. People are like, oh, I'm embarrassed to say this. I play Fallout 76, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. I'm not going to spend money on it, and I haven't spent a dime on it, and I haven't ever bought it. Somebody bought it for me, but that's not the point. The point here is that if I'm going to go in and play it, I don't care what people say. I'm going to go in and play it, and just say it. If you're going to play it, play it. Who cares? But people are like, oh, I'm too embarrassed to play this. Are you an idiot for doing that? Absolutely, because, if you want to support the company, that's your money, do whatever you want. But that's just dumb. You have, seriously, that's like running in traffic. If you want to run in traffic, go ahead. People are going to call you an idiot for doing it. It's the same thing. So I think what's going on here, like with the China thing, to be completely honest with you, that tournament was based in Hong Kong. It was based in Asia, right? So Asia does not have our laws. So it's irrelevant what Blizzard did here. I know it sounds rude, but that's the baseline of it. So let me see. This is exactly like people on my channel. You said, man, I don't like what he says, but what I'm saying is a fact. Yeah, people can say whatever it is that they want, but that's not going to, they may not like it, but it's not going to change the facts. So let me see. Former dirt. Let me see here. Sub-sous chef. Oh, one-handed melee. Science. Plasma damage received -3. Medical technician, junior grade medical. Inspiration. That's got to be talking. Tester. Anyway, okay, so I think what I'm going to do is do this. Okay. Here's another thing that doesn't belong in this game. If you're in first person and this is a single player game, this is a completely retarded screen to even have. Let's see what I can do here. Oh, looks good. Oh, I can turn it. Ah, okay. There we go. Let's try this here. As that lies down. Alright, so let's see here. Oh, okay, I see eyes. I was like, where the hell is this going? Oh, I see. Okay, so that's it on that. Eyes are big, eyes are small. Let's do that. Vertical. Put them down a little. That looks good. I like round jaws. I don't like these moon faces. That's his lips. Ooh, yeah. Huh. Interesting. It's up and down, nose width. Alright. Nose tilt. There we go. Yeah, how's it going, man? I have no idea what the hell I'm doing here. Oh, wait, is this, dude, he looks like a fag. Really? The Hail Caesar Hitler? The Hail Caesar hairdo. Oh, this is hilarious. What the hell is that? The guy's just... Really? What the fuck is going on with this? Wow, that's bad. That is bad. What the hell? Oh, this is hilarious. My guy looks like a friggin' girl. It's like retarded. Like, seriously? Ah! I should put him in a friggin'... he looks like a secretary. Oh, God. This is hilarious. Oh, my... Oh my God, there's a movie called The Ice Cream Man. It's got Ron Howard's brother Clint Howard in it. It looks, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. You got freaking George Costanza on Seinfeld. Oh my God, that's hilarious. I should just make a freaking mohawk on this person. Yeah, that sounds cool, you badass fucking melee guy. Alright, so let's see here. Got a unibrow? Yeah. At least they didn't name this crap. Yeah, it's pretty bushy eyebrows. Yeah, I gotta actually fix my friggin' face. This is terrible. This is like terrible. This is fucking terrible. Oh my God, that was fucking ridiculous. Why do they have like every other face is like fat and huge? This guy looks like this guy kind of looks like an amphibious guy. You put scales on him and look like a fish. Oh God, I always have the fucking funniest. I always have the best time with these friggin' character creations. These things are so friggin' hilarious. Hey, this guy looks decent. Let me see. Is that it? Yeah, hold on a second. Let's see. Why is like every other face on this fat? Seriously, that looks like an alien. That's just so funny. Ah, this guy looks cool. Let me look in his ear. Can you look in? Can you zoom in? I can't zoom in with the triggers. All right, I got you. Oh, I don't want to do that. All right, so let's see here. Okay, so that's cool. Now I gotta go to features. Wait, can you color your hair? Oh, the hair color is there. Okay, so let's see. What do I got here? I never use mohawk characters. Like I never put like purple hair. I always try to make my character like look some badass guy who just got out of bed, 5 o'clock shadow type of thing. Give him like the badass look. But this time I just don't give a shit. It's an Obsidian game, Strom. This character creation thing is retarded. You're in first-person view in a single-player game, and they have a character creation screen. That makes no sense. It's literally a waste of programming space. I don't care how good, Obsidian makes their games. That's just straight-up stupid. Alright, so let me see if I get 5 o'clock shadow here. Oh, yeah, here we go. This is starting to get going. I should friggin' use this guy. Looks like a wolf. He looks like friggin' one of them Scottish beer drinkers. Oh yes, Zorro, I will show you. That doesn't. That looks like a combination of a Frenchman, Scottish, and German drinking beer. That is terrible. This guy. Oh god, this guy looks like a YouTuber. Alright, there we go. I get the beard now. That's good. Now let's see. Facial hair. Why would you not have this and this at the same angle? That just literally doesn't make any sense. Well, I guess you could dye your beard. Yeah, that makes sense. I literally just cannot stop making fun of this stuff. It's so funny. Alright, let me see. Can I get green? Let me see. How many... I wonder if the colors are exactly the same. So let me see. Is this like... That's red, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... 9, 10. Alright, so 10 is green, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's not even the same color scheme. That's weird. Let's see, what other colors do I have for my face? Oh yeah, that's good. Can you imagine, like, growing purple hair out of your face and shit? That would be, like, messed up. Something's wrong with this. That's cool and shit. Let me see. Yeah, this guy's looking badass. Why does it look like he has an earring right in his ear? Does he really have an earring in this? Oh, it's just the lighting. I'm like, oh, he has an earring and shit. Let's see what features are. He's got... Let's see what the makeup is. What the fuck is that? Seriously? I should... Oh my god, that's horrible. What is that? He's goth! I make the guy look badass and then this shit happens. Oh my god, this is horrible. What the fuck is that? Like, really? Oh my god, this is horrible. Yeah, I'm not gonna put any makeup on. Wait, what was that? That looks pretty badass. Alright, that looks even better. Let me see here. Yeah, I'm gonna use that. That looks good. Right there, that looks good. So let's see. Age. I'm gonna put some age on him. Scars. Can you even see the scars under the makeup? Alright, so next I gotta name them. Alright, let's see. What's your name? TL. Spacer's Choice is dying to meet you. Alright. Summary. This, I guess, is where I want to change anything I might change. Oh, okay, so next. Alright. I guess this is Spacer, or whatever his name is. Alright. What just happened? They didn't even talk or anything. Like, it's just like, here. Did he, like, run out? Like, I don't understand what just happened. What am I missing here? Like, he just went from... It's almost like he was defrosting him. And now it's this. And then they showed this guy. What the hell is going on? Huh. Interesting. That's a rude awakening. They woke up, told you pump full of drugs, and then you go into sleep. Not if you wake up, you still might die. Not to mention they didn't even explain what the hell was going on with us. Did they just really use a heart monitor on a finger? Oh god, that's hilarious. And people tell me I don't know what stuff is. Huh. I'm not skipping this. It's Obsidian. I might miss something vaguely important. Here's what I find interesting when idiots tell me, what, you wanted to tell you how to walk? Case in point, it tells you how to actually walk with this, which is the left thumbstick. Okay, now, if the game is going to give you that type of instruction, it needs to continue giving that type of instruction. A box with a button in it that says what it does. And it should not just be left stick to walk, and then right camera to look around, or whatever the button is. It should be going through that with every single thing it tells you to do. And then it should also include use this on everything you find throughout the game and experiment on using it. So this is when people say, we want the game to tell you everything it's impossible to do. No, it's not, because these are gameplay basics that you can use to expand on, provided you write the right instruction correctly and you don't simplify it. Oh, I guess you can go into third if you just let the camera zoom. So let's try this, okay? Now, somebody else would never know enough to actually know that the right thumbstick looks around. People are like, well, the left thumbstick told you to walk. Shouldn't that automatically make it common sense for the right? No, shut up. Because there's no, again, it's like, I just said that, and then people ignore what I said about the instruction. It should have also came up and told you how to move the camera as well, but it didn't. Obviously, I know enough to do that, but somebody who never played this will just continue going like, how do I use the camera? Okay, so A jumps over obstacles. So why doesn't it just say A jumps? So now, I'm not going to do this until the camera tells me to actually turn. This is what I find interesting. Oh, I gotta remake this entire game. I mean, remake this entire video. This is hilarious. See, what it should say here is press left thumbstick to sprint. It should say press it. It shouldn't have a friggin' key, because that doesn't. Somebody may not even take notice of it. They might just think it was just a bad design in the thing. So it's interesting. I literally have to remake this and restart this from the beginning. So, Steel Gamer signing off. Have a good day or night wherever you are, and I will restart this.